and there's not this scary pandemic going around that is killing people and making people really scared and causing mass hysteria and panic, it's already hard enough to leave. People rarely leave or have a very difficult time leaving in normal times. Now we all can find homes. It's really hard to leave because there's nowhere to go. It's unsafe to leave. And so I did a little research today. I called the National Domestic Violence Hotline because I thought it was important to find out if they knew of any resources that were still open, to see if they knew of any tips and tricks that I didn't think of. And the hold time at 4:30 in the afternoon for the National Domestic Violence Hotline was a 12-minute hold. So that could either mean that there are less people working and less people available to help. It could also mean that the influx of calls is really high. I personally think the influx of calls is extraordinarily high right now, because that is during work time, 4:30-ish. Nationally, that's generally when people are still working, and that might be the safest time for survivors to call because abusers might be busy working. But also, it could mean that too many people are calling when the person goes to the bathroom, or when people are going out to get groceries. They're trying to call and be safe, find safety. So I thought that was really interesting that the domestic violence hotline was really clouded. I called a couple police departments to see if the domestic violence or domestic disturbance calls were higher, and I got really mixed reviews. So in Chicago, in the city, they said they have had significantly higher call volumes than any other time. But in smaller suburbs like Arlington Heights, where I live, the call volumes were less. And I think that what plays a role in that is being home. It's unsafe to call. It could cause problems in the home if the abuser can see the victim is calling for help. It could cause more problems in the home after the police arrive. It puts the victim at a disadvantage. It puts them in an unsafe space when the police leave. It could aggravate the abuser. This is a time of heightened stress. People are really stressed out for financial reasons. People are stressed out for work reasons. And I know some states are banning alcohol. I know Pennsylvania banned alcohol sales. I don't know how that plays a factor with accessibility, but I do know that alcohol and drugs tend to increase abuse rates. So I don't know if that was to a point to try and cut that, or if maybe it was just so that people aren't driving drunk or aren't driving at all. But that could significantly affect the stressors in the household. Maybe somebody who drinks is better when they're drinking, or maybe that'll increase the stress in the household and put the person in a more unsafe place. And let's see. I was thinking of different ways that we as advocates can help survivors be safe during this time. And there are a lot of ways we can help without being directly involved. The problem with being quarantined is that everybody is home and everybody is always around, so it's easier if let's say you knew somebody who needed to get out and you invited them to your home. The abuser could follow them to you, and you can put your family at risk. Now, I don't want everyone safe. So I think to help is to help from afar. One of the things that I do with a lot of my clients, and actually with a lot of my friends, is develop a code word. So for example, when I'm having a really difficult time, or me or either of my two friends are having a difficult time with depression or anxiety, we'll text into our small group message the word pineapple. And we chose the word pineapple because it's like a random word that wouldn't come up normally in conversation, but it's not like it's inconspicuous enough to be a code, right? So we know what that means. So if you know somebody that needs help, you can develop a code word with them. And if they need something, they can just text you that code word. so that if the abuser is looking at their phone or the abuser is watching over their shoulder, they don't know what that means, but you know what that means. And then you can jump into action and help them develop a safety plan. The victim knows the abuser and their situation better than anybody else. They know what they can and can't do and stay safe. They know what the abuser does and does not do in their home. So telling them what they need to be doing doesn't help them. But advising when they ask for help, if somebody were to reach out and say, I need help, ask them what they need. If they need help developing a safety plan or researching places to go, that's the most important part, and that's what will be the most helpful, not telling them what they need to do. Right now, space in shelters is limited. One of the things I learned calling the domestic violence hotline today was that a lot of places are not taking people. They're not taking survivors from anywhere. They're not transporting anyone because they don't want the virus to get into their shelter and spread. So that creates limited accessibility to resources for survivors. They can't go to groups. They are not safe in their homes. They are not able to leave. So they're basically just trapped. So what would be important to do is help them create a safety plan, which I can get more into. I want to do a whole thing on that tomorrow, is creating a safety plan for people and giving you the knowledge to help whoever needs to know a safety plan or needs to make a safety plan safely and effectively make one so that the second quarantine is over, they have a plan, they know where to go, and they can get out. Or if their abuser does still go to work or sleeps at night and is a sound sleeper and they have an ability to leave, they can safely where they won't have to go back. 80% of abuse victims go back to their abuser. And that's for a lot of reasons. One of the main ones being financial. You know, right now, everyone's being laid off. Money is a huge, scary problem right now and also a huge stressor. And so leaving might be really difficult because they don't have money or resources to get money at this exact time. So one of the things on my podcast last week, I had my friend Rob Rubel, who's a phenomenal financial planner, come on and talk about different ways to be more money conscious and save as a survivor from financial abuse. And one of the ways was to hide change. It doesn't matter if it's a penny or 50 cents. If they can have their hands on it, put it in a sock, in a shoe, or hide it somewhere where your abuser won't find it, and start stashing. And there are a lot of ways now to open an account without anybody knowing. So you can go online and create an account on Ally or open an account anywhere, and the abuser doesn't need to know. So just having the accessibility and the knowledge and the know-how to do things like that can be really, really helpful to people. And if they save pennies, if they just find change around and get it into their bank account somehow, that's something that you can help them with. That could be really, really helpful as soon as quarantine is over. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I don't know anything more than anyone else about this specific virus or how long quarantine is going to last, but my best guess for you is that it's going to be a while. We're going to be stuck inside for a while. And so right now, keeping people safe and trying to get them the resources and the foundation that we can to help them be safe as soon as this is over is really important. So opening a bank account, you don't need to give them money. I'm not asking anyone to give anyone money, but help them get money into a secret account that only they have access to. That way it can help them as soon as quarantine is over. There are also a lot of ways right now to make money. It's a little bit difficult and challenging because everyone's a little money conscious, but offering services on Fiverr or selling clothes and things on Poshmark that can be hidden or discreet could be really helpful and a good way to make money. Or opening an Etsy store, hiding, like I said, hiding change in a shoe or in a place where your abuser won't look will be really, really helpful. I know I mentioned this before, but please don't bring anyone to your home unless you feel very safe doing it, unless your immediate family or friends, just because you want to keep your family safe. You don't know what people will do, and abusers in this time are looking for control. Right now, nobody has control of their life. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody has any information. So that need for control, because abuse is all about power and control, that need for control is not being quenched. And so they're going to look for it in any avenue, which is why I think that massive explosions and big, horrible things are happening to survivors That's why the call volume at the domestic violence hotline is so high. You don't want to put yourself or your family at any additional risk by bringing in people you don't know. I just read a story today about a person who brought in an abuse survivor who went back to their significant other, and it put the new roommates at a high risk because that person is volatile, needs control, and very aggressive. You just don't want to do that. Not that I don't wish I could house everyone who needs a place to stay. I do. It's just not practical and it's not safe. So you want to keep yourself safe and you want to help them build a plan. If there's a way for them to leave or a place for them to leave and go to a family or a close friend that's nearby that they feel safe and comfortable staying with and feel safe and comfortable having them in, that could be a resource for them. But right now, I think staying in the home and just building that foundation, packing up clothes, making like a needs backpack and hiding it somewhere where they won't find it, maybe the trunk of a car or under the bed, somewhere where the abuser won't look. Like I said, the survivor knows the abuser best. So all of these things are just ideas that you can give to abusers. That you can give to victims to keep themselves safe from their abusers. Does anyone, I'm so happy that I've had so many people on here and people are, liking and reacting, and I hope I'm giving good information. If anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in. I'm happy to answer them. I'm basically just giving you my 2 cents. The best way to help is just to be there, to support them, to ask them what they need. Giving people advice isn't always helpful because not everyone needs advice and you don't know anyone's situation better than they do. So a really good tool is to ask what they need, ask what you can do to help that will be the most helpful and the most effective to them right now. Yeah, I've pretty much covered my topics, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll stay on here for another minute or so. Stashing money, making a backpack, and planning, safety planning, knowing that there's nowhere to go, knowing that they don't have resources outside the home, and basically just trying to keep themselves safe is really important, and not trying to force anyone to do anything. I've said it like 5 times already, but you do not know the situation better than the survivor. The survivor knows best what's happening in the home and what the triggers are and what will set the abuser off. So just be there for them, be a support to them, be an advocate. I'm going to post a tweet that I put out today. I'd love if anyone who feels like they are knowledgeable or feel free to contact me with any questions, but anyone who if you feel like you know somebody who needs this information or needs a resource, I'm putting out a tweet, share it, and you can brand yourself as an advocate and someone that anyone who needs it can go to for advice, and anyone who needs help can go to if you feel comfortable and confident sharing this information. Share this video in community pages so that it can be spread around. I think it's really important that people know what's going on and know that this is happening and the best ways to help. I'm going to post in the comments my podcast episode. I did a podcast episode about 2 weeks ago about this topic and ways to help, and feel free to listen to it and share it and rate it. And like I said, use this information, help people. We need to make this world safe for everyone, and if it just means spreading this information a little bit and knowing that people are in danger in their homes and being there to support them, that's the most important thing we can do right now. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I really hope that you've learned something and that this information was valuable. I love you all for being here and for supporting survivors. And I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to talk about real in-depth safety planning tomorrow, the steps you need to take, and the things that you can help other survivors do to safety plan and keep themselves safe and ready to leave when the time is right. Have a great night, and like I said, keep yourself safe and healthy. Wash your hands, stay inside. Let's just try and end this quarantine as soon as possible. We can do this, and I have faith in our community. We're awesome. You're awesome. Have a great night.